So raise some money, help out people in need. And with that, we're going to jump in and introduce everybody's characters, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview about the world of Eberron, which you might not be familiar with. So why don't we begin at the end of the table, and we'll save Mr. McMillan for last. So Paul, who are you playing? Who are you and what are you playing?
Hello, I am Paul Foxcroft, a human man, and I'll be playing... I'm playing Index Jones, a warforged rogue who has been trapped in a library for most of his life and is now finally out. His only understanding of the outside world is pulp adventure novels that he has read at night. Is that enough for you? I can
Perfect.
stop.
Yeah, fantastic.
Cool. Done.
Kim, who are you? What are you playing?
Hey, my name is Kim Richards, and I'm part of the High Rollers team. And today I am playing Misk Travaran, who is a changeling wizard, School of Illusion. She is currently working as an investigative reporter for the newspaper that we are, going to feature in a moment. And she is part of the Travaran family, who are famous traveling entertainers. But yes, she is a changeling, and as such, she was swapped at birth. So her parents, her adoptive parents, the Travarans, the amazing traveling Travarans, oh god, I've already screwed it up.
You got there.
They had their child swapped at birth. But they're all right with that. They're all looking for their missing daughter. But in the meantime, they love Misk for who she is.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Mr. Bill, who are you and what are you playing?
My name's Bill Benham, and I'm one of the producers for the Dungeons & Dragons team, and I am playing Scream Whistle. Scream Whistle is a kobold festooned with different potions and unguents and various substances. He is an alchemist by trade. And he helps the team with taking photographs and whatnot, kind of preserving the scenes that they come upon, the stories that they're trying to work on. So that's me.
Perfect. Hey. Richard.
I'm Richard Whitters, a senior art director on Dungeons & Dragons, and I'm going to play Grombo, who's like a little half-fling kind of guy, and he's good at detectorying things and stuff like that.
I am Joe Manganiello. I am playing Var-Ulfr, or Ulf for short. He was raised in the mountains, has now moved to the big city, and he smokes a lot, and he's just a kind of a rough and tumble type of guy that you don't want to mess with. And human.
Sure, human, absolutely. And this adventure is taking place in the world of Eberron. Eberron is a world of lots of magic, noir, mystery, pulp adventure, and specifically, we're playing in Sharn, the City of Towers. The largest city in the nation of Breland, the hub of trade and crime across Corvair. Eberron is a world that was until 2 years ago plagued by a terrible world war that raged and scoured the landscape until the entire nation of Sire was destroyed in an event called the Mourning. This prompted the rest of the nations to sign a treaty, a peace treaty. But still, under the threat of war and the threat of magical weapons, there is always a shadow lying just beneath the surface. And in a small newspaper office in the big city of Sharn, garbage! Trash! 10 best romantic spots in the Middle Plateau? A day in the life of a civis messenger? This doesn't sell papers, people! The shrill gnomish voice of your editor-in-chief, Zandala Zim, echoes across the offices of the Sharn Inquisitive newspaper as she strides through the rows of writing desks towards her office, where the five of you have been waiting for a hasty summons. She gestures, one hand holding on a large, plump Zilago cigar, and bids you enter into her office as smoke begins to fill the space. She sits you down on a series of 5 chairs, all of various sizes and makes, seeming that they've been collected from all over the world, and just, offers you a moment to seat yourselves in whatever order you wish.
The room is smoky?
Yeah, it's kind of got this thick scent of wood and sort of packed herbs coming from these huge cigars that are currently smoldering on her desktop.
All right, well, I light up my cigarette.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking specifically at what the kobold is about to do. Cough just echoes through the room. And she kind of gestures. She's just like, all right, well, fine. If you don't want to take a seat, don't take a seat. Listen, I brought you all in here because we need something strong. We need a strong front page story to come out this week in The Inquisitive, all right? Now, there's something going down in Terminus, the lightning rail station, all right? House Kundarak, the dwarves, they're all about magically protecting places, bank vaults, security systems for other nobles, that sort of thing. They've been working on something real special. They've built a train that functions as a mobile bank. They call it the Nomad Vault. Now, I've been hearing some rumors about this place, all right? I've been hearing that, one of the Warforged workers that they've been using for labor to build the train, last night it went crazy. Killed a bunch of people in a nearby bar, and it's being hauled off by the watch. Now surely that's gonna get something. There's something juicy there, I can just tell. But also, one of their carriages, it's been bought out by a private buyer, one of the other dragon-marked houses, House Thorani. Nobody knows what's inside, but they've paid top gold to get that whole carriage to themselves. Nobody knows what goes in, nobody knows what comes out. They're hiding something in there. I've got a nose for it. So I want the 5 of you to go down there and get whatever scoop you can get out of that whole station. Venolfer, that's your name. Your job is to keep the rest of them safe. You know what Sharn's like? It's a dangerous city. Look at these 4 chumps. They're not going to be able to survive on their own, so you got to keep them in top condition. The rest of you, get me the best story this paper's ever seen.
We're gonna need some traveling money.
What was it?
Just a little up front.
Grumbo, huh? Yeah, I thought you might ask for this. She slides over a pouch, a small pouch. You reckon it contains about 50 gold.
All right.
What?
Bribes.
That's all I gotta do is ask? You put 50 gold over it? You just asks? My, that, no.
I'm not giving it to you, kobold boy. But sure, gold, use that as the group's expenses. You need to pay off any city watch. You need to get yourself some travel. Hire a mage right to cast any spells for you. Use that, all right? Now, what about you, Warforged and Funny Face over there?
Yeah, the name's Index. Just out of interest, does this mean you no longer want these pictures of Spider-Man?
No, he's old news. Some sort of crazy drow flying around the city solving crimes. Who cares about that?
Damn it.
Well, that was a waste of months of work.
Yeah, it took us literally months to take pictures of this guy.
Well, too bad. Old news. Nobody's interested anymore.
No.
If it bleeds, it leads, right, boss?
That's exactly it, you little dragon, little
What?
funny-
Just let's go easy on the whole kobold thing, all right? It's very.
All right. I know, I had my meeting with the managers, fine. What about you, huh? Misk,
Yes.
any thoughts?
Warforged bad?
I disagree.
Well, okay, we're working on you. You're a work in progress.
I'll take that as a compliment.
I don't
Thank
know.
you, I think.
They've been hiring Warforged laborers for months. Some of them seem okay, but yeah, one of them went crazy. I don't have the details. Go down there and find it out, all right?
Maybe it's the beginning of a Warforged revolution.
Oh my gosh!
Sure, if that sells papers, great, fantastic. If you got any questions, I don't have much information. I expect that's your job to go down there and find that out. But if you've got any questions, I'll do what I can. You all right there, buddy?
Where do we start?
Head down to Terminus Station. It's in Lower Tavix Landing. It's pretty far from here, so you're either going to want to hoof it on foot, or you're going to want to secure some transport, one of the Sky Coaches or a Griffin Rider or something like that. Use the money I gave Grumbo there to pay for it if you need it.
I don't remember you giving me money.
That's funny. Almost certain I did.
I know your memory's been bad.
Yeah, roll a
Usually
deception
give
for me,
us
Richard.
you give us a little.
Let's see.
What?
Let's see your deception roll.
Oh, okay.
You know that game where we roll dice that you help work on?
Okay. Ooh. 6.
Wait a minute, I did give you money just now.
As he holds it in his hand, like I'm ready. I don't
exactly.
remember getting any money.
Oh,
what?
that!
Give it to Scream Whistle.
You're so
I
bad.
grab the halfling by the ear and I drag him out of the room.
Okay. So Ulf just begins dragging him out of the room, and she kind of hurries the rest of you out. Like, all right, you've got jobs here. Go and do it. And as you leave the offices of the Shan Inquisitive, you see that there are rows and rows of these kind of writing desks. There are humans, half-elves, gnomes, all busily writing and scribing away. And every time they finish a page, they tear it off, throw it up in the air, and some sort of magical force just gathers the papers and then sends it down into some processing room somewhere else. Whatever magic they use, it's extremely commonplace here. You know, this is part of the industry to quickly process the pages and the papers it gets flown through. When you leave the offices themselves, you emerge out onto one of the many sky bridges that connect the city of towers. Shan is a city built from several tall, impossibly tall towers that rise up into the air and are connected by a series of bridges. Known as districts, the city is split into upper, middle, and lower sections of each individual tower. You are currently on one called Upper Dura, which is facing towards the sea. The place you need to go to is Terminus Station in Lower Tavix Landing, almost the exact opposite side of the city. You would all know that there are many forms of transport available. There are flying sky coaches. There are griffins that can carry you individually. Or, if you want to save some money and be cheapskates, you can just make your way there, although it will take some time. What would the group like to do?
Cool.
Let's catch a car.
I'm with him. Walking's for suckers. Plus, you know, you got the money, so let's make it happen.
Cough up some change.
All right. Where can we go find a sky coach?
Almost anywhere. You are currently on this upper level of these towers, and you can see that there are dozens of these gilded wooden. They almost look like little sailing boats, and they just soar through the air with ease, just flying, floating down. You can see there's almost traffic as it flows and moves in between the towers, under the bridges, and it definitely makes their way through the strings of crowds of monsters as well. You see gargoyles flying through the air with little messenger packs. You can see people riding griffins, just flying around, going into their own private residences, that sort of thing. And looming above all of this is an entire district that's levitated off of the tower of the city itself, called the Skyway. This huge, gilded, covered in gold relief, silver towers of spires. It is the elite of the elite, where the richest and most influential members of the city live. And it towers over everything else. And as you begin to look down the towers, you can see that all of the rain, the detritus, begins to fall down, and each district, as it gets lower and lower, gets dirtier and grimier and just a little bit more unpleasant. But it doesn't take you long to just flag down one of these sky coaches. It seems to be driven by a young half-elven man, very exquisitely well-dressed, in a little waistcoat and trousers. He pulls up and is like, "G'day, sir. Off you all right?"
How much?
Oh, well, it's pretty busy time of the day there, sir. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where are you going?
Technically, we count like one because he's fairly small. I'm fairly small. It's fine. Could we call it 4?
All right, we'll call it 4. All right, yeah. We'll call it 4.
Actually, on that note, and then I'm just going to sneeze, and then I transform into a tiny halfling with bright pink hair. Like, technically, it's 3.5.
All right, sure. Yeah, all right.
Yes.
3.5 then.
Sure thing. And nobody needs
he's
to
quite
ask.
heavy, though,
I'm
so
unreasonably heavy.
I'm going to round it up to 4 again, if that's all right. We'll round it up.
4 for Lower Terminus Landing.
Lower terminus. Right, that's, that'll be about 5 gold each, so 20 gold for the lot of you to take you down. And as I said, it's a busy time of day.
Okay, here's 15. We're good.
1, 2, 3, 4. 5 more, mate.
Okay, it's another 5.
He counts it to be sure. Yeah. All right, that's good. Right, all right. Buckle in. Climb aboard. Come on. Come on. Gonna get a move on. And as you all begin to pile in, you can see that it's extremely spacious. The seats are comfortable. There is a light kind of scent of citrus and lavender that's being pumped through some sort of illusory magic to give it a pleasant smell. You can almost see like a little charm dangling behind his chair in the shape of a big tree that's giving off this wonderful scent. And he turns and waves you in, and the sky coach just dips away and begins weaving its way through the city of towers itself. You guys have a moment, like you have some time that if you want to kind of come up with a game plan, if you want to talk to each other and figure some things out, this is probably going to be your best time to do it.
Did you mention at the beginning that it was House Thurani?
House Thurani is rumored to have a private carriage somewhere on the Nomad Vault, this armored bank train.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I will just assume that you guys sit in a wonderfully uncomfortable silence.
Well,
Just a moment there.
You're playing.
far from an uncomfortable silence. I think those Theranis, those elves, they're a shifty lot. I think I think we should maybe try to get inside their private carriage, find their private carriage, get in there, and maybe take a few juicy shots. I think that would be good.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. My parents come from House Filaran, and we're not. War is a strong word. I would say we're kind of friends on the outside, but stabbing each other in the back, but behind the scenes. So absolutely, I want to see what's in that carriage.
What do you think, Metal Guy?
I'm 100% up for sneaking inside stuff. Look, I spent my entire life working in a library.
Oh, you know how to be quiet then, huh?
Oh, I sure do. And also, I hate it. I just really want to be out in the world doing things, and this sure sounds like a thing.
We're going to do lots of things.
Great.
Have you got any ideas on how to get in?
Right now, no, I haven't seen the thing. But I'm going to guess a door?
And then
a lot of stuff has doors.
What are you going to do when you see the door?
Open it, but real quiet like.
This guy gets it.
Truly a master of espionage.
Yes.
Sure.
Grumbo and Ulf, what do you guys, any thoughts on the team's plan?
I figure these ones aren't making it back alive, so you stick with me. We'll be okay.
This tiny halfling pats you on this incredibly muscular.
Yeah, he puts his hand on me. I just kind of look at it until he removes it. And I pull out a little, like a piece of bread.
Okay.
And I pull an edge off the bread and hold it up to my other shoulder. And out of my suit jacket, I'm wearing like a suit jacket with the sleeves rolled up with a skinny tie on a white shirt. And I pull this piece of bread up, and out of the pocket of the inside of my jacket comes a little Arctic mouse.
Oh.
And I feed him the bread. And
It's
I say,
like nibbling away.
yeah, it's just nibbling away. As I say, I want to know more about this crime scene.
We got to find out. You know what? We should find out more about this crime scene before we go and maybe get in there. Because, like I said before, the Warforged killed somebody. People love that. People love to read about that. So, I don't know. Maybe they'll give us some clues. You're the clue guy, right?
I asked a coach driver.
Yeah, you all right, mate? Yeah? Sorry, my accent slipped a bit, but I'm back now.
You know anything about this Warforged going crazy?
Warforged going crazy. I mean, it happens sometimes. Oh, you're talking about down in Terminus, the train station, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty brutal stuff, mate, right? Hear this, right? Last night, he's in a bar, this Warforged, he's just, hanging out with the rest of his Warforged mates. There's a couple of tourists in there. You get a lot of tourists coming in Lower Tamix. Yeah, having a drink, having some food. This Warforged, right? He just stands up, walks over to a toolkit, picks up an hammer, and then he just starts whacking. He just starts wailing on these tourists, yelling something about death to the flesh bags,
Wow.
kill all the meat people, just bash, 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 blood everywhere. Nasty stuff. Watch come in, batter him to the ground, drag him away up to Black Arch. God, what a sight.
Yeah, nobody likes tourists.
Yeah, tell me about it. Not here, mate. Whoa. I charge them extra when I've got some tourists, but you're born and shine, right? Hey, I know a shiner when I see one.
Out of curiosity, Index, dear friend, how do you feel about filthy flesh bags?
You're not going to go crazy and kill all of us, are you?
I'm not going to go crazy and kill you, no.
Great, good
If
stuff.
I'm going to kill you, I'll do it when I'm good and sane.
Nice to know, mate. Good to know.
But no, I'm fine with you folks. If anything, I think there should be more of you. And I earnestly believe that statement. And while as that happens, my face is just like a featureless metal mask with little eye holes and a tiny slit where the mouth is. The mouth opens slightly, and then a metal cigarette just comes out, and then land lights.
Perfect. Yeah. This little kind of like glowing end. It does little fake smoke trails
Yeah.
upwards. Yeah, perfect. As Index does that, and this little cigarette comes out, you do notice that those of you who are particularly kind of perceptive or tuned to danger, I think all of you kind of on the lookout for things. I think maybe Grumbo and Scream Whistle, who aren't in the middle of the conversation. You see just off to the side of the Sky Coach, as you're kind of dipping your way through these incredibly narrow archways, like these kind of archways made up with bridges, and you can see civilians crossing, going between the different towers, making their way through the city. You see this kind of very beautiful golden griffin with these kind of silver-tipped wings, and you can see immediately that whoever is riding it is struggling to keep control of this griffin. This half-elven noblewoman, she's wearing these rich blue robes that seem kind of foreign in nature. She is struggling to control this griffin, and it's desperately trying to throw her off as she's trying to control it. The coach driver's like, oh, somebody's having a bit of trouble, and is about to try and steer the carriage away.
Good.
Okay.
How far away?
Probably within about sort of 15, 20 feet. It's really close. It's kind of really tucked in narrow.
Can I use Mage Hand to try and steady her griffin?
Sure, yeah. Give me, now you're an arcane trickster, right, Grumbo?
Yes.
Detective Grumbo. Why don't you give me a Arcana check rather than an animal handling, because you're kind of using your magical knowledge to use this. Hold it tight, right?
All right, yes. 2.
So
That's not a 2.
That was
That's
a natural.
2 with a +1.
That's a natural 1.
So you reach out with this ghostly hand, and your aim is to try and soothe the griffin and kind of try and calm it down. And you just
slaps it.
You just the kind of Sky Coach lumbers forward, and wham! It slaps the back of this griffin, and you see it rear up, and the noblewoman begins falling out of the harness, and the griffin is about to come loose.
Okay, well, I act like I meant to do that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you just light up something.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is up in the air?
This is up in the air. You can see you've probably got about 60 feet before you can actually reach the other towers. There is a large bridge about 40 feet below you as you're kind of like going over it, but you're in these narrow corridors in between these different towers and bridges. And this is about 15 feet away from your own coach.
Okay, then I'm going to rage.
So what does this look like when you rage?
I rage, it's, do you remember the old Incredible Hulk TV show?
Absolutely. Luthering.
Yes. So, veins in my neck start to pop and my eyes turn like white. And I jump out the window of this sky cap.
So you like floor open the door, like just jump out straight
Yeah.
out the window? Okay.
And just launch into the air towards...
Okay.
Like a flying leap towards this
The-
person falling off the griffin.
Oh, you're going for the person and the
Well, the
griffin?
person's coming off of the griffin?
Yeah. So you're going to try and grab them?
I'm going to try to grab them.
Okay, give me an athletics check. With advantage, because you're raging, so...
Ah, yes, I like it. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Okay, I'll take the
That's
first one.
good, yeah.
Athletics check, you say?
Yes,
25.
25. So what's your aim here? Do you want to try and catch them and pull them into your carriage, or do you want to try and grab them and jump to safety?
I would like to ideally jump, griffin saddle,
Okay.
and person falling off.
Okay, so you leap out and you wrap one hand around this leather harness, which is just barely attached to the griffin. It's coming loose, and with the other hand you grip this kind of thin, pale, half-elven woman's arm as her brown hair kind of flails in the sky, and she looks up at you as you grip onto her, and you've kind of got them both. But the griffin at this point, with the extra weight kind of pulling down on it, is bucking wild.
Okay.
And it looks like it's about to attack the nearest thing it can find.
As an animal totem type of person, I can ritualistically communicate with animals
You can.
in several different ways.
You can.
Now, I know I haven't had a proper warm-up,
Yes.
but is there some sort of, because of my affinity
Your
for wild
affinity with
animals?
Okay, so normally, because it normally takes 10 minutes for a ritual spell,
Correct, yes.
but I will say that you have a natural affinity. So roll me an animal handling check, but we're just going to roll it straight. We're no advantage on this one.
Okay, animal handling. Let's go. Not bad, not bad. That's going to be a 14.
14. You can see that the griffin is, its anger and frustration is still there, but you're kind of locking eyes with it, and it sees this incredibly dangerous predator is kind of latched onto it, and you can see that timidness does return somewhat. And you don't think it would attack you or the sky coach, but its eyes dart down to the bridges where you can see civilians are like pointing and pointing up at it.
Yeah, that's
and
okay
it
with
kind of
me.
aims towards them. What about the rest of you? So we have Scream, Whistle, Misk, and Index. You see Ulf kind of leap out. He grabs one hand onto the saddle. One hand has this elven woman in hand. What do the rest of you guys want to do?
Oh, man.
I'm just gonna watch and just be like, oh, Ulf's doing his thing again.
Bulging biceps and a ripped suit shirt.
And I'm gonna shout out the window, looking good, Ulf! In the meantime, can I use minor illusion to create a little 5-foot little griffin in front of the griffin?
Like a baby griffin?
Yeah, Bubby Griffin.
Right.
And it's just gonna flap there and just be a distraction, like try and confuse it maybe.
Okay,
Get
what's
its attention away.
What's your spell save DC?
My spell save DC
Oh, it's not going to matter.
is okay. Thanks.
So you watch, and the eyes of this larger griffin do seem to soften, and it looks at this baby griffin as it begins flying around, and its wings are beating ferociously, its claws are kind of flapping around, and you can see the saddle is still beginning to shift, and the buckles are like straining, bing, bing, as they're going. But the griffin is no longer aggressive. The griffin has completely calmed down, but now the danger is this saddle is about to fall sliding off. Index and Scream Whistle.
All right. I have, as everyone does, 50 feet of rope.
Yeah.
Is this in you somehow as a warforged?
Yeah, I open my chest cavity where I keep all of my inventory.
So it's like you're pulling your guts out.
That's what it looks like. It's on a spool. So it's like, whoa. And so actually, yeah, it's on a spool in where my stomach would be.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to grab, like, there's like the bit of the door hanging off, I assume,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
where
yeah.
Joe burst through it.
Threw open the door so it's like open to the elements.
So like, real quick, I'll just tie like a piece of wood to it so it's got some weight. I'm going to throw this across to Ulf.
Okay.
So you can grab it, and then I'm going to brace against the side of the cab.
Okay. So you absolutely everything you say. You don't need to make a check. You kind of spool the rope out. You tie it up. You throw it to Ulf, who has a saddle in one hand and a woman in the other.
I'm going to shout, Ulf,
And
grab the rope!
a little Arctic mouse comes up onto my shoulder.
Just nibbling some bread.
Let's see how strong a little winter ferret is. So you watch as it like leaps to try and bite it, and it gets a grip on this piece of wood with the rope, and then immediately lets go as it's almost pulled out of your suit pocket as the kind of rope and the thing. But it's now hanging out of the sky coach itself. There's kind of like a rope hanging from a helicopter. You have this long piece of rope spooled out, but just no way for Ulf to kind of leap and grab it without. I guess you could try and use your feet. I guess.
Scream Whistle is kind of has a bemused look. Like he's kobold, so his face is kind of reptilian, so it's hard for him to show emotions. But looks kind of bemused by what is going on here, and he'll shake his head at Indexifier Jonesy there, and he will very quickly spool up the rope. It's got the wood on the end.
Yep.
And he's going to take out what looks like kind of a crossbow. Unfolds.
Okay.
And then he's gonna plop it on there, and he's gonna turn a dial, and he's gonna dump some like a canister in the top, and it's gonna fill up with this reddish liquid. I'm casting the spell catapult. And then I'm gonna fire it off and try to shoot it so that it arcs and wraps around Ulf's waist.
Yeah.
So when the saddle goes, he's just like dangling at the edge.
Swings down. Perfect.
What would you
So
like
you're-
me to do?
You're basically Star Wars Empire Strikes Back AT-AT, like, go for the shot, Dax.
Yes.
Perfect. Make a ranged spell attack for me.
I
Let's
will
see
do
how,
this.
how accurate you can be.
Let's say, hypothetically,
You had inspiration. No.
that would be awesome. Let's say I would have hit an armor class 11.
Okay, so here's how this is going to work. You fire the crossbow out. It wraps around Ulf's waist, but you're kind of the spooling of the rope. You're kind of holding on to. What could happen to Scream Whistle? That would, what kind of piece of equipment might you lose? Like, if something went wrong, like if this rope pulled too taut, what could you potentially lose? Or like, would this knock you off, and potentially knock you out of the window?
I am thinking that
Or
because
throw you
it's,
backwards?
because it's looped through the device that I pulled out,
Yeah.
that I would and kind of get sucked out the window with the rope.
So what happens is you fire this thing, but you get pulled along with it, and you find yourself now tied to Ulf's chest, along with the rope that you fired out, as you're kind of holding on this little kobold body.
This is not what I intended!
Bill,
Is this still attached to me?
Yes.
Bill, yeah, it's still attached to you. Bill, take inspiration for me for putting yourself in harm's way, for taking that as a kind of like trade-off, a success with a cost. And yeah, basically what everybody expects to happen happens. The saddle eventually slides off this griffin that now just begins following the tiny baby, illusory baby it can see. Ulf swings down, and you kind of almost have like a Mission Impossible moment where you're being flown in between these towers and bridges as you begin pulling yourself up along the rope. Index Jones, you're kind of flexing your kind of robot, these muscles made out of wood and fibers and stone and metal, as eventually the barbarian, with a kobold roped to his chest, pulls up a half-elven noblewoman, and they both crawl into the sky coach. And as they do, you hear the woman is like, "Oh my goodness! Oh, well, thank you very much for rescuing me. I have no idea what was happening there. Are you all right, my dashing rescuer? Is he okay?"
And I turn away from her
Okay.
for her own protection.
Hey. Yeah, so she looks a bit taken back, and you can see that she has the robes of some sort of spellcaster, but there's a slender rapier at her side, long sort of like blondie brown hair tied up. She looks very rich, and I think
Does she seem impressed by what I just did?
very impressed. Very impressed. There is a general sort of look of kind of enraptured grace and thanks for what you've done. But also, I think for Ulf, you would probably recognize as being a human from your certain background. You suspect that this woman is from the nation of Ondare, and anybody who's traveled. So I think the Index, Misk, you guys would probably know this as well. Ondare is a nation famous for its wizards and its mages. And it was one of the enemies of Breland during the last war, this huge world war that took place. But now with the Treaty of Thrones hold signed, there is peace. But you know that they are exceptional mages. And she kind of looks to Ulf, and she looks at the kobold wrapped around your chest and the rest of you, and it's like, "Oh, well, my utmost thanks to all of you, especially you, kind sir. I am Lady Shalana Fairweather of Ondare. How can I repay you?"
Just before we go any further, do not look at him in the eye, just for a couple of minutes. Give me 1 second. And I rummage around in my torso, and I pull out a calendar with old pictures of voles from like throughout the year, and I just hold that up in front of Ulf.
Of little voles?
Yeah.
Little
just-
Arctic mice?
Yeah, it's all different Arctic desert voles, every kind of vole imaginable.
Okay. And as I calm down, my little Arctic vole comes out. And you know if you have a little dog that just licks you? It's just licking me to try to calm me down, and it does. And I turn around and I pull out my pack of cigarettes, and I light one inside the cab, and I turn around and I look at her.
Oh, yes, hello. Thank you for saving me. I don't know what was wrong with that thing. I've ridden dozens of horses before, but that thing was a little bit too much. Yes, anything you require. I'd love to repay you for saving me.
Let me ask you a question.
Of course.
I understand that House Thorani likes to throw parties from time to time.
It's been known that dragon-marked houses often throw little engagements and parties, of course.
Do you have any way of getting us into one of those parties?
I could certainly speak with some friends of mine. I have many friends amongst the dragon-marked houses. Yes. Is there a particular party you're interested in, or you would like to attend, or anyone you'd like to meet in particular?
I would say
This extends to all of you, by the way. You all had a hand in saving me, so please.
Yeah. You kind of screwed it up. We're looking to get in a private coach.
What's that?
We're looking to get into this private coach.
Private coach? Like a lightning rail train?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I think I can arrange something like that, yes. I have a few friends who work for House Orion, which manages the lightning rail. I hear that they're working on some sort of secret project, a banking train or some such. Yes, if that's something you require, I'm more than happy to provide you with an introduction. A contact, perhaps, that you can speak with?
That would be wonderful.
Yes, of course. Let me think here. There's a wonderful woman. She's not part of House Orion, technically. She's an employee. Her name is Amelia.
Amelia.
What was her surname? Amelia Emerson. She's something of what would you call it? Public relations for House Orion. She would most certainly be able to grant you access. I'm sure if you go and speak with her. She could normally be found at Terminus Station, so I'm sure you can probably find her there.
Funny, we're on our way there right now.
Yes. Let me give you a signed letter, some documentation of introduction. And then she looks around. I don't have anything to write with, unfortunately.
I believe I can help you with that.
Oh, certainly, Warforged.
If you'd like to dictate, I can print it.
Oh, okay. Amelia, it's wonderful to hear from you. This is Lady Shalana. I'm sending some guests your way. Perhaps you could offer to help them. They're looking to gain entrance to a private carriage of some sort of House Thorani's. They saved my life. I will present them with a token of my identification for you to provide. And then how does this look for Index?
So I have inbuilt calligrapher's tools.
Okay. What's that look like?
I imagine it looks like you can see in the chest cavity. There's like pools, like potion bottles of ink, and then just around shoulder height, there's just a very thin slit, from which A4, quite nice paper, like laser prints out.
Sure.
I catch that and was like, is this font okay? I used Calibri.
Marvelous. I'll just sign it and be on my way.
Perhaps you could put some sort of way you could be gotten a hold of for, say, dinner sometime on another piece of paper.
I print that.
She looks over, she's like, oh, blast. Father always told me to stay away from the dangerous-looking ones, but yes, certainly. And she gives you a small little business card, which is written in sort of a beautiful font. There is some sort of manor up in the Skyway district. I can be found here at most times.
I roll it up and hand it to the little vole, and he hides in the pocket with it.
And he scurries back down. Yes, she asked the coachman to just drop her off at the nearest bridge, and then the rest of you continue on your way down towards Terminus Station.
I'll call on you.
Please do call me. The rest of you, it was lovely to meet you. Very kind.
Unbelievable.
Right?
What?
I've just got my little illusion griffin on my lap this whole time. I'm just sat there.
Just guided away.
I take a moment to high five Ulf as a standard action. And then I pick up my hand.
Just kind of snaps off. Terminus Station, as you arrive, it is in the lower part of the city, but it has been kept exceptionally clean. This is an entry point from where travelers all across Corvair come into the City of Towers. And as such, you notice that there is a large presence of the City Watch. Their green and black uniforms, very clearly identifiable amongst the citizens. And it's busy. This is a large dome-shaped building with a large crystal-topped dome that brings in sunlight and magical illusory colors shift through the hues as it distills down. The main plaza is filled with market stalls, little stores that are selling traveling gear, papers of travel, all sorts of things that you can buy. And there are a number of long platforms with rails extending out into the countryside of Breland itself. There are a few lightning rails in place at the moment. You can see that these are huge, hulking, metallic machines. And as they begin to power up, lightning crackles down the front of the engine, flows into the wheels underneath, and just skyrockets in an erratic pattern underneath and gives them lift and thrust as they begin to pull away. One of the platforms has been cordoned off. You can see that stone and metal barricades have been erected around it, and there are what appears to be building materials of metals, woods, crystals known as dragon shards, which give power to the various magical technologies of Eberron. And they're all being stacked up, and you can see that there are some very skilled-looking dwarven guards on this gate that leads into this engineering platform. There is also a large crane that appears to be lowering what appears to be a metallic heart of sorts, crackling with lightning energy. And it appears to be lowering it down into the engine of this train that's being built behind it. You can see the sigil of House Kundarak and House Orion emblazoned on the outside of this barricade as well. This appears to be where they're building the Nomad Vault, the special bank train. And yeah. That is what you see before you. So, my question is, what would you like to do?
Find Amelia.
Sure. So you want to track down this Amelia
Emerson, yeah.
Okay. It doesn't take you long because you notice this House Orion worker dressed in the colors of her house is arguing with two dwarven guards standing around this particular section. You kind of begin making your way over, and you kind of catch the tail end of the conversation as you approach. She's like, "Now listen here, see, my house is the one financing and helping you build this absolute monstrosity, so you're going to let me through. I've got some business in there to take care of." And the guards are just like, "We're very sorry, milady, but we've had strict orders. After the Warforged incident, nobody unauthorized is allowed in." "That's ridiculous. I've got papers, see? I'm afraid this comes from on high. The head engineers forbid it." She just turns and she's like, "For goodness sakes." And she kind of moves over towards you. "And what's this? Who are you people?" You can see she's kind of got like very short cropped hair, her elongated ears, and she has what appears to be a pair of wands in gun holsters on her sides.
Oh, wow.
She's a wand slinger, a particular type of mage combatant here in Eberron.
We're looking for Amelia Emerson.
Well, if you're looking for Amelia Emerson, big guy, you've found her. That's me. Now, what can I do for you folks? Who are you with? Are you with somebody, or...?
Give her the note.
Scream whistle?
Wait, what? Do I have the note?
Yeah, I don't know.
Fuck it, I got the note.
Hello there, little fella.
Insulting, but fine. And he will open up and show the thing that we were given, that he printed out of his chest, and hand that over there. This is from a lady who doesn't know how to fly a griffin.
Right.
She's a friend of yours. She's sweet on this fella here.
Shalana Fairweather.
But I mean, can you blame her? Anyways, I think we have interests in common.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Why, whatever could that be?
Well, maybe we don't talk so close over here with these dwarf fellas, these Kundarak fellas.
These armored Kundaraks, they got a head as hard as their armor is. All right, follow me, boys. And whoever you are, and kind of gestures over to the side.
I am everyone, and I am no one.
Very mysterious. I love it. I love it. And she leads you over to a small side office where there are kind of cushioned chaiselongs, big cushioned chairs, decanters of wine and fruits on the side. And she says, "Well, you've been sent by Shalana, so I know that you must be important people in the city."
Very important people in the city. You have no idea.
Absolutely. I can tell just by looking at you. What's your name, by the way?
It's a kobold name, not very common in these parts. My name is Scream Whistle. Pleased to meet you.
Scream Whistle.
Scream
I love
Whistle.
it. I love it. You know, you could have a whole new brand image. I'm sure I can help you sort that out later if you want. But Scream Whistle, you say? All right. Well, tell me. You said that our interests align. What were you talking about?
Yeah, it looks like you were trying to get in and look at that fancy train, and you know, maybe we're looking to get in and look at the fancy train too. Maybe we could help each other.
You're not wrong. It's ridiculous, right? My house, the House Kundarik, the bankers, they were supposed to work on this together. Now, these guards, something's happened. That Warforged that went crazy last night, it's kicked something off. They're hiding something in there. I just know it. I say.
Well, sounds like you need to get to the bottom of it just as much as we need to find out what's going on. So, you know, you know any way besides the front door we could get in?
Maybe I do. What about the rest of you? What do you do there, fella?
Me?
No, that one next to you.
No, this lady.
I call everybody fella. Don't worry about it.
Oh, wonderful. I'm interested in the dead body.
The Warforged.
Yes.
Being holed up at Black Arch. It's the local watch garrison. Just went crazy. I don't know what happened. Perfectly fine one day. They've got a foreman of sorts, a Warforged who kind of looks after everything. His name's Root. He's the one who's been organizing all the workers. I've tried to speak to him, but he's been holed up inside the engineering section, and I can't get a word in with these Kundarik guards in the way.
Well, perhaps we could move these Kundarik guards out of the way.
If you can do that, sweetheart, well, maybe you're worth more than those big muscles of yours. Yeah, for sure. What about you there, fella? You little guy in the little hat and the little coat?
I'm just thinking about stuff. I think maybe I could make myself look like one of those dwarfs.
Now that would be pretty useful.
And then I could go tell them, hey, your shift's over. Yeah, you go home.
Now listen, if you find folks can help me get in there and figure out what's happening, I can make you very rich. I can give you payments from House Orion. You know, we're desperate to get this project on the move. We want to get this train moving, sailing, making the money.
What kind of payment?
What are you looking for?
Oh, lots of money.
I can make sure lots of money comes your way.
Okay, maybe a few extra little mouses for this guy.
You want mouses? I got mouses. You want mouses? You want gold. You want houses? I got it all.
Potions, whatever.
Absolutely.
What were you gonna say?
I want a hot scoop. Do you think that they would listen to someone from House Kundarik?
Absolutely, of course. They're just lackeys. Any true heir of House Kundarik would have authority over them, for sure.
What, do you happen to know what any of them would look like?
I can describe one to you, certainly.
Okay, do so.
She describes a dwarven man with a short grey beard, long braids around the back, wears ostentatious clothing with big, thick gold rings, large, bulbous, scarred nose, calls him... This is where I don't have a name prepared for
Bob.
someone. Ulgrim de Kundarik.
Ulgrim.
That's a good solid dwarf name, right? I guess, Ulgrim.
So I guess as she's describing this dwarf, I will start like changing my features to match. And then so if she makes a mistake and maybe gets something wrong, like I'll change, but then change it back, and then so literally like form as she's
So you kind of
describing
watch this
it.
amorphous face begin to shift and change. Your cheeks begin to swell and blow out. The nose flattens and gets wider, and then the scar begins to form as she begins describing it.
It's very disgusting.
Yeah, but the clothes don't change, right? So the clothes kind of end up being these ill-fitting, kind of feminine-form clothes. The muscles bulge and kind of stretch the sleeves a little bit. Well, we need to do something about the wardrobe, but this is perfect. Looks exactly like.
And I think, a very feminine voice is going to come out at first, like my normal voice, and being like, any idea on what he sounds like? Because this is rather unusual.
Oh, just do a typical dwarf voice. I'm sure they'll figure it out. They all sound the same, right?
Scottish?
Don't make me do Scottish, Mark. Don't make me do Scottish.
Hey, it's up to you now.
Oh, no.
All right, well, this will work perfect. If we can get some change of clothes, if you can get those guards out of the way, you can get access to the whole engineering department. Find out what's been going on here.
I don't think we need a change of clothes.
No?
No. Scream Whistle's gonna sit down. And he's gonna futz around a little bit. He's gonna pull out some concoctions. He's gonna pour them together. He's gonna put them in a little kind of pressurized canister, and he's gonna turn.
Please don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me. He's going to shoot me, isn't he?
I'm not gonna shoot you.
But he is going to spray you with a liquid, and as it contacts your body, it kind of sparkles a bit, like kind of a...
Like a vampire.
I hate you so much right now. No, it's like kind of a chromatic, like multicolored, like a rainbow and a waterfall kind of thing. Ooh. And when the liquid kind of drains away, you're wearing like a gold-braided... I cast minor illusion.
I love it. I love it. So you find that the clothes, you can still feel Misk, that the clothing is still tight and ill-shaped, but to the rest of you, it appears that they are wearing this exact uniform that matches perfectly.
Beautiful.
Perfect. This will do just the job. Now you've just got to try and convince those dummies that you're who you say you are. And I'll tell you what, if that doesn't work, maybe give them a bit of the old, you know what I mean, a bit of pressure. Put a bit of pressure on the problem.
I know exactly what you mean.
Oh, I bet you do, big fella. I bet you do. Looks like that guy and, well, not that guy. Maybe that Warforged down at the end. You know, you could pass as one of the workers if you needed to. They've just been going in and out, no problem.
Oh, you make a good point. Do the workers have anything that differentiates them from normal Warforged?
Now tell me, does Index wear clothing?
Yes.
Okay.
He's wearing a hat and a trench coat.
That's a classic detective kind of look.
Yeah.
You and Grombo went to the same outlet store for detectives, basically.
I'm apparently 6'6".
Okay. Different sizes, maybe.
Join the club.
3'3".
You need to lose the threads. But other than that, no, they don't have any distinguishing features. There's all sorts. Ex-soldiers, ex-laborers, ex-masons, all sorts are working on it.
Right, easily done. These clothes come right off.
I'm sure they do, fella. I'm sure they do.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I wouldn't have a nickel, but still it would be fine.
I remove my hat and coat and become generic.
Yeah, and it is true, right? Like, you look at suddenly without the clothes and looking outside to where you can see these Warforged, these kind of walking constructs going in and out of this engineering section. There are slight variations to them. Some of them look like they might have once held weapons. Some of them look like they're battle-scarred. But some of them look like that they were builders. They, carry like masonry tools. They have extra eyes to maybe use as battlefield scouts. But they all have the same kind of basic body shape. They all have the same